Looking to a new horizon. It has been an unusual time where we've been living with restrictions and confinement for more than a year. Now there is some light, promise and hope with the relaxation of directives that will allow more freedom of movement. We are beginning to emerge from a foreign land, but we are about to enter an unknown territory. There is the opportunity to move on, but also the challenge to adapt to the new situation in a healthy way. It means moving on, not going back to the way we were, as the landscape has changed in the meantime. In effect, we are moving into a new territory. The challenge is to embrace the new and not to restore the old, attempting to get back to the way we were. This is the threshold experience that can be formative. The picture has changed and it needs a new frame, not to be pushed back into the old one. Crossing frontiers, discovering new places, moving into the unknown, taking the untrodden path, bring a change of horizon, but so does the readiness to risk, the ability to see differently, and the freedom to make adaptations. External and internal factors influence our capacity to perceive and decide. These factors also affect our level of awareness, the degree of interest, and the openness to be surprised. Change is integral to growth. Life provides changing horizons that can facilitate this growth. The freedom to notice and to take appropriate action is significant. Prophetic people can see and have the courage to act. They can acknowledge the prevailing picture, but reframe it differently. They do not remain confined by what is the accepted way, but can be open to the new. That is the invitation to each disciple, to change horizon, to provide a new perspective and move in an appropriate way to respond to the new situation, to acknowledge change, but also to be an instrument of change for the good. Abram and Sarah were asked to move to a new country into the unknown, as we see in Genesis 12, with a broader landscape and horizon, but with a promise for future generations. Life and opportunities were opened up. They were invited to raise their eyes, but more so to see through the eyes of faith. It was through that lens they were to view the invitation and the events that would unfold. They were on a faith journey which influenced how they perceived the land, its challenges and its opportunities. They were to live out a vision that God had offered them. Changing horizon had a formative dimension. They were different people in living out their call. The same is true for us. Disciples of the Lord are also brought beyond the situation in which they lived to embark on the unknown, but with a promise. They were to be messengers of a different way of life. Many simple words are used. Come, go, buy, sell, give, receive, leave, follow. But all have a deep and radical meaning in the context in which they were used. They provide a different horizon and call for change. This is true of those who founded new groups such as charitable foundations. Many took risks, forsaking conventional wisdom, to set up something to meet needs of the time with seemingly inadequate resources. Their vision was not confined by those limits, as they saw possibilities and opportunities to do good. Their horizons and visions were not dimmed by frail beginnings or faltering initial steps. They walked on in faith, broadening the horizon and opening it to further possibilities. Doubt and fears were not allowed to prevail and confined the spirit of the adventure and initiative. In nature, horizons change, influenced by seasons, the amount of light, the sun, cloud formation, wind and rain. A scene that seems routine, bland or ordinary most of the time can become alive and vibrant, engaging the heart in wonder and beauty. A changing horizon can invite, captivate, and can carry us into a contemplative mode, drawing us beyond the everyday routine. Photographing the same scene at different times and seasons can be quite interesting. But there are times when a photo fails to portray the full impact of what is present. Still life can fail to capture the depth and range of the scene. Landscapes change from season to season. Cloud formation varies with the influence of wind, rain, and sun. Some rocks and clouds enhance the beauty of the horizon. This can speak to us of life with its ever-shifting horizons, its rocks and clouds. They are part of life and they invite a response that has truth and depth. Life provides and offers space for change, but much depends on how we are with that. That is true for us now. We have the experience of the pandemic with its losses and blessings and are invited to go onwards. Without some reflection, the meaning of the past year can be lost. I had the experience but missed the meaning. Eliot. Routine, existing structures and accepted patterns can dull sensitivity and impede a new vision and allow the dreary to dominate. It can re-echo the words, "There is nothing new under the sun," which seems to depict a closed mentality and portray a somewhat helpless attitude in Ecclesiasticus chapter 1. But life is more than that. Things do change, and we can be motivators of change as followers of the Lord. That is our call in a world where people seek meaning and purpose. They seek it in the midst of so much change. They desire a horizon of hope. This is true in a particular way at this time. For people of faith, the horizon has changed much. In recent years, the sense of wonder was dimmed, with much darkness prevalent. It could be said that we had too many rocks on the landscape. We were living under a cloud. The recent pandemic served to bring a heaviness for many people and put a damper on hope and meaning. When weighed down, it was more difficult to look up or to appreciate the landscape or skyline that was being portrayed. It needed a trained eye to be able to see beyond them and to know that this was not the full story. But there has been a gradual shift. With more light and hope emerging, signs of life have become apparent. It is a different sky with a more varied cloud formation and a landscape with more vitality. The wider horizon is also changing, as is our perception and response to it. Confidence is being rebuilt. The call is to be proactive and reflective. It is not simply restoring the past, but moving forward with trust and hope. The founding vision enables us to see and to respond in a way appropriate to this time. We are invited to view life in a new way, to live differently as a consequence. This is needed in a consumer society where vision has become clouded. The God of horizons gives consistency to guide us, as well as the newness and variety to invite us and keep us engaged. There is a tendency in us to set limits to possible surprises, to confine the horizon to the known and tested, but that is not a recipe for life. On any journey, the horizon changes. Many times bring richness, new vistas, new aspects. They serve to keep life open to surprise. Being caught by the drabness, the barrenness, the routine, dulls openness to wonder. Being captivated by the changing sky can lead to too much dreaming without being sufficiently grounded in reality. What we have experienced has brought us down to earth in many ways, asking us to clarify who we are and what our priorities in life are, where we can come out of it richer and more authentic, with a newer vision for the future. We need to be able to look up to the sky and interpret the signs as Elijah did in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, when a small cloud had the promise of the coming of rain. Jesus also invites us to interpret the signs of this time, Luke 12. He helped people come to a new vision, offering a different horizon beyond the conventional perceptions. This guides us too. Now it is time to raise our heads and open our eyes and walk with courage and faith. Some of the clouds have moved and the sun is visible. We are to be guided by the light of the sun, Jesus, for he is the risen Lord. The invitation is to go forward in faith, to recognize the gifts God has given us and to be willing to work together building a better world for all God's children. The outer change is to foster an inner one that brings greater freedom to know who and what is important in our lives and in our relationships. Let us be prophetic as we move forward, acknowledging and respecting all that God has given to us. For reflection, these are some questions that you might take. What am I leaving behind as excess baggage that is no longer useful? What am I taking that will guide me on the next step of the journey? What is God offering to me now? If you desire some scripture texts, you could take that one from Genesis 12, verses 1 to 9. Abram and Sarah were invited to leave where they were and go to a new land. Or Deuteronomy 1:31. God has been with us on the journey. Or Luke 12:54 to 56, learning to interpret the signs of the times. God be with you.